is one of the most ambitious and disruptive companies in this whole phase of the internet economy. It's expanded incredibly quickly around the world. I'm based in San Francisco, and it's already a very large presence with its headquarters in San Francisco. It's a company that has made a lot of waves in the way that it's entered different markets around the world, but certainly a company that many people are watching to both learn from and observe its progress. So we're very happy to have Enn Metsar, who's the general manager for the Baltics for Uber. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This morning I was asked in an interview and one question, so what is the next product that Uber is going to do? I think we should do aviation because Jumbo, our Europe, Middle East and Africa manager, was supposed to be here and presenting this speech today, but one of the connections didn't make it, so he's stuck at Istanbul. So maybe airlines is the next step. But let's talk about what Uber is right now and how do we see, like, how can we improve cities around the world and here in Vilnius and the rest of the Baltics. So what is Uber? You know, Uber is not a taxi. Uber doesn't have any cars. Uber is a technology platform. What we provide is we provide a connection between people who have extra time and they have a vehicle and those who need a ride. So Uber works very simply. I assume most of you have used it. If not, then go and see one of our people at an Uber stand. There are many around here, and you can get a free code to try it out. But basically, it's a smartphone app. You know, the app pinpoints your location and allows you to order a car. In essence, it's very simple. A car will come and pick you up. In Vilnius, it's within 5 minutes on average. Our average weekly ETA is under 5 minutes. And when your drive is the car, and we ask you to rate the driver and them to rate you, and that's it. Everything else happens in the background. Once you register your account, you also register your bank cards or credit card. So there's no cash involved. You don't need to put in any PIN numbers or anything like that. Everything is safe, is secure. Seconds after you leave the car, you get a trip summary or a receipt in your phone with a GPS picture of the route, calculation of the fare, etc. But simple things have a power to do a lot of change, and that is what Uber is about. So Uber started in a city that's been quite interesting and important for us, in Paris, actually. So Travis, our CEO and founder, so Travis and Garrett Camp were in, I think, the Web conference in 2008, and it was raining, or actually snowing, and they couldn't get a car. They couldn't get a taxi. I thought that, well, wouldn't it be great if you could just get the transportation through an app? It's like, well, yeah, it would be. So then they went back to San Francisco and started what was basically a black limousine service. So you could order in a very early Uber app a limousine with a black car to come there. So it was as if you would have your own personal driver. Since then, we realized that there is so much potential and so much we can do with this premise, so this small original idea. And now we've expanded to 70 countries, over 400 cities. And last December, we just served the 1 billionth ride. So let's see what happens. What is the potential? In this graphic, you see New York City from 2012 to 2015. New York is one of our largest cities, one of the cities with the quickest growth. But the important part here is, like you see, it started on Manhattan, and it was a service that was easily available for people there in the center. But it quickly expanded, and once the system starts to scale and starts to expand like that, then you really start generating much more opportunities for the city, which is what we're going to talk about. So what's the situation here in Vilnius? This is a picture of what we call eyeballs, people who open up the app to order a car. And you see that majority of them are in the downtown area. But there's more and more people further away from downtown who are opening up the app. The bigger we become, the more drivers and the more riders we have, the easier it is for us to serve not just the center, but the whole metro region. Interesting way to look at it, like what is very important for us is the average time of arrival, ETA. And we want the service to be reliable, meaning that you would know that whenever you open up the app, you push the button, the car will be there basically by the time you've put on your coat and your shoes and gotten down the stairs to the street. So 5 minutes is kind of this magical number, right? So if the car is there within 5 minutes, then you have that reliability. In this card, the dark dots are where the average wait time is 5 minutes or less, and the rest is when it's 10 minutes. So we still have some work to do, but let's see, based on our experience, how does Uber really grow and scale? One great way to look at it is California. You know, it's huge. There's a lot of people there, and there really isn't that much option. Hasn't been that much option for using a private car. And private car ownership is what we really believe is what we compete with, or what we want to basically evolve beyond. All right. So this is 2013 January, LA. There's it's an okay coverage, but it's a huge city, and wait times are still quite high, around 10 minutes, and it's still only in the center. Then a year later, we see that the coverage has expanded a lot. Up in the north in Santa Clara, down in Dana Point, and even goes all the way to Bald Springs. And then 2015, a lot more already. And 2016, basically now, even more. So the bigger we grow, the bigger area we serve, the higher the benefits to that region is. So why are we talking about smarter cities, or why do we need smarter cities? Well, the fact is that there's more and more people. Urban is very inefficient. Most people drive their personal cars without anyone else accompanying them, which means that we need a lot of cars, and one car takes out a lot of space. One car is not the most efficient way of transportation if you think about the resource use, the resource allocation. Around 20% of the world's CO2 emissions comes from personal transportation. Instead, so why cannot we do it more efficiently? Obviously, there's one solution is public transportation. Other solution is, light use roadways for bicycling, for just walking. But you need a lot of different options to cover all these eventualities that currently people have, and that's the reason that people tend to still buy their personal car. So what we believe is that with technology, you can make the cities much wiser, you can make them much smarter, and you can offer all of these options and the positive externalities that come with it through that. Transportation, or these logistics and the solutions, they're very big, right? Like there's some examples there of large public investment projects. London Crossrail is still being built. It costs 22.5 billion euros. If you want to put in a new subway line, 15 billion euros, etc. So, but nevertheless, there's still clogged up streets. There's still the fact that in Europe there's more than 250 million cars, and statistics show that in downtown areas, 30% of the traffic is actually cars looking for a parking spot. So that is not very smart. So what we believe that technology can obviously improve it. The ability to put a digital layer on the physical world enables a lot of innovation, and that's what we are about. So what do we see? What are the smart cities of the future? Well, we believe that they have three key elements. One is that transportation is multimodal, meaning that there's an ecosystem of many transportation options. They're complementary to each other, and by that, it would meet all the demands that people have for transportation and eliminates the need for private car ownership. Another is that we believe that the smart cities have to be integrated, that these complementary transportation systems would be integrated into platforms that provide these services seamlessly. So that if you go from point A to B, you would use, you might take a train the long distance, and then, for example, Uber for the last mile. And you could have apps that would put those together, and that is what we are working on with different APIs. And last but not least, we believe that the cities need to be data-driven, meaning that once you are able to predict different patterns, you can design products that are much more efficient. And we'll go into all of them. So what is multimodal, right? Mobility in cities using public transportation is often this hierarchical, that the bus comes from the center to the suburb. Similarly with trains or trams and such. And oftentimes, in order to go from one area of the city to another, you have to kind of cross through the center. And that is not very effective, right? Takes a lot of time, which means that people actually have less options for transportation. And then they rely on personal cars because that gives them more freedom. Well, we believe that in reality you should have a distributed system, and that you should have public transportation or transportation options that are not based on having a car that would still give you the same freedom. So let's look at that. Let's look at the complementary part. So this is a graph of the black lines are Paris metro lines, and the blue lines are then Uber trips that have originated or from the metro stops, or the destination is metro, meaning that Uber is the last mile there. And then a significant part of our transportation in major cities is exactly that people use Uber to go to the end of to their closest subway line. And thereby the whole complementary process works in, because subway is oftentimes much quicker, but putting in public transportation is a huge investment. You know, the capital costs are very high. As we saw some examples here, they're in the tens of billions of euros. So they have to be complementary like that. Another example here is London. So in London, 20% of our rides overall are also rides to a tube station or a train station or from it. Meaning that, again, there we see that Uber can be the last mile and therefore make public transportation a viable option. That if you otherwise, the public transportation network is so far away from you that you would still need to have a car to go there, and a taxi or a cab is expensive, then Uber, through efficiencies and scale, can make this work. Another important thing here is that there's also a lot of transportation within regions. In London, our average trip length is under 4 miles, which means that there's a lot of transportation in the suburbs, and that are actually very poorly covered right now by public transportation options. So what do we mean by integrated? Well, we believe that we should build technology that kind of allows solutions to use Uber within it. Maybe you've seen that, for example, in Google Maps, that when you put in your destination, it gives different public transportation options, but it also gives you an option to order an Uber. Well, we believe that you can go a few steps further than that, and we already have, is through Uber APIs, integrate Uber into public transportation or other transportation apps as well. And there's a number of examples. So this is Citymapper. This was during Super Bowl. Was to basically put together options for people that you can take public transportation to a certain point. From there, you could order an Uber, and there's different options that you can choose. You can take Uber Pool, which is that you share a ride, and that's the cheapest, or you can go all the way to Uber Lux, for example, or Uber Black. And there's more and more of those integrations. Quite a lot of different apps that are popping up all the time, and we definitely support that. So now, data-driven. What does that mean? Well, we believe that once you put this digital layer in the physical world, you can gather a lot of information, which we do. And with that information, you can start to improve on the efficiency. And our goal there is to have fewer cars on the road. Basically, to still put the same amount of people, or even more people, transport them around, but have less traffic, have less emissions. So how do we do that? So our solution for that is Uber Pool. So Uber Pool is something that we're... All right, it should work now. Is something that we have started in the cities that have been longest, or where we are already quite... Oops, sorry. Does not seem to work. Anyway, where we already are quite big. What it means is that if I want to go to work, and I live on the edge of the city, then the app matches me with someone on my way to work who goes to, their office might be somewhere quite close to me. If I choose that option, Uber Pool. The application or the algorithm says patches us only if there is, say, a couple of minutes extra time from that. So I only lose a couple of minutes from my commute time, or like add to that. But I get the ride for basically half the price. This is really good also for the drivers, because the rides become longer because of the distance from they drop me off, and then they drop the other person off as well. And that means, of course, that we need less cars Okay, does not work. We need less cars to move the same amount of people. Pool is something that we want to bring to as many cities as we can. So we're constantly working on the effectiveness of that, constantly trying to launch it in ever smaller cities. But it's been very, very successful. So in San Francisco, where it's been the longest, up to half of the Uber rides are actually pool rides. So people select that, and they're very happy with it. Every time I've been in San Francisco, I've only ordered Uber Pool as well. You meet a lot of interest. We've launched there and been very, very successful since launch, but also in the Baltics. In both Lithuania and Estonia, there's a lot of progress in drafting legislation that takes into account the options, the possibilities the technology affords us. So things like ride-sharing oftentimes work in legal environments that are meant for other purposes. So now is an opportunity to actually create a framework that properly regulates these sort of sharing economy possibilities, and therefore, like Lithuania is definitely showing the way. And similarly, actually, also Lithuania is showing the way that public services should be as well integrated or as seamless or as attractive as private services. For example, so we launched the memorandum of understanding with Taxport to build a pilot where Uber partner drivers can voluntarily opt in to very easily do the tax declaration for them. So these sort of public-private partnerships is something that Uber is very happy to do, because we are part of these societies, and then we only succeed if we make these communities better as well. So, smart cities of the future, multimodal, integrated, data-driven. We believe if we achieve those, then we reduce the motivation or the need for private car ownership significantly. And of course, there's more to come. Uber is constantly experimenting, constantly also coming up with new products. In a number of cities, we have Uber Eats that allows you to order food very quickly and easily. We have started Uber Rush in a few cities, which is basically package delivery. And yeah, and there's more to come. So with Uber, yeah, we believe that we are just one part of a bigger picture in cities that operate ever smarter. All right, thank you.